And for more international headlines, let's go to Patrick Reevell in our London bureau. Patrick, Iran is blaming protests for a 6-2 World Cup loss against England. Its own teams and fans have taken somewhat of an activist role, refusing to sing the national anthem, in some case booing. And this is all happening as forces crack down on protesters in Iran. Now Iranian newspapers say foreign enemies are stirring up protests to throw the national team off its game. What's the latest here?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, I mean, so far, Iran's government has avoided directly commenting on the refusal to sing the national anthem by its players. But Iranian media and Iranian state media and state newspapers have been very much going after the protests and saying that they essentially are to blame for this bad loss to England in the World Cup. But what we're seeing also, of course, right now in Iran is a move really towards a different phase in suppression. We're seeing increasingly signs of heavily militarized units moving into cities and signs that their security forces are daily firing on protesters. We're hearing reports that dozens have been killed in just the past couple of weeks, and the UN says as many as 16,000 people have been detained. I think right now, one of the remarkable things we also saw, though, around the World Cup was the attitude, as you said, of Iranians to the national team, where we heard that basically people were cheering each goal from England as they scored against their own national team, which I think really shows the level of alienation and anger right now among many Iranians.
Now, let's turn to China now, because after rising cases and their first COVID-19 death in almost 6 months, the country's sticking to its zero COVID policy. That calls for isolating every COVID case. Now they're dealing with protests there as well. Is the government showing any sign of loosening these restrictions?
Yeah, I mean, today we're actually seeing protests at this plant, this Foxconn plant in the city of Zhengzhou, which is the largest iPhone factory in the world. We're seeing hundreds of protesters marching there, and we're seeing police clashing with them. And it's unclear right now exactly what is the cause of this unrest. Foxconn are saying that it's partly over a payment dispute, but it appears that it is at least in part fueled by tensions created by a COVID outbreak in the city and by how the plant has been responding to it. Basically, the plant has been put in a COVID bubble for many weeks, and anger has been building there for weeks, where hundreds of the staff, thousands of the staff there are basically angry and afraid that they may be living with people who have COVID, but also are complaining about conditions where they're not being provided with food during quarantine when they're there. And I think really it just speaks to this growing and deepening difficulty that China is facing in dealing with COVID and pursuing this zero COVID policy, which right now they face this very difficult dilemma where if they either persist with these growing tensions and protests or they face a massive COVID wave.
Now, Patrick, urgent rescue operations are also underway in Indonesia after that devastating earthquake hit last week. The White House says the U.S. is ready to provide aid and support. So what's the situation there now?
Yeah, this is now the third day of rescue operations in Indonesia, and we're seeing emergency workers still urgently seeking survivors and also just trying to reach communities that have been affected. Over 270 people have died in this earthquake so far, and over 1,000 have been injured. It seems likely that that will still grow. We're still seeing people being pulled from the rubble. I mean, over 58,000 people have been evacuated. We're hearing as well that 22,000 homes were destroyed in this quake, which really shows, that there's now going to be a really major humanitarian challenge facing the authorities there.
All right, Patrick Reevell, we appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.